Hello, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about PCI requirement 621. In PCI 4.0, two new terms came out, one of them being the word bespoke and custom software. What that means is really in-house developed software. Now, with in-house developed software, there's a couple important practices that need to happen. One, the software needs to be developed based on industry standards and or best practices. Two, it needs to be developed in accordance with the PCI DSS, and needs to incorporate considerations for information security issues during each stage of the software development process. Now, let's kind of break down each of those points. So when we talk about the software development process, or commonly called the software development lifecycle, there's a couple major stages that we need to consider information security in. We have development, we have the ongoing care and feeding, and we also have what we consider the termination of a piece of software. So during the development process, we have the design, we have the planning phase, we have the actual coding work. We need to make sure that information security is throughout that entire process. And then we also need to make sure that information security is considered through the ongoing care and feeding of the software. So as new features get added, as new things happen, how is information security considered? And then finally, we have the eventual termination of the software. If we have the termination of the software, what happens to that data? If we're going to sunset it, are we going to destroy the data? What's going to happen? How are we going to make sure that it happens in a secure method? So throughout the software development lifecycle, we need to have an understanding of information security inside the software. Now, the other point that was kind of a high key point was making sure that software is developed based on best practices. So there's a lot of different frameworks out there that can be used to make sure that you're designing software in a secure way. PCI has the software security framework, which is recently come out, which is a big deal. And it's kind of talking about how do you develop secure software in your environment to meet PCI standards. So that's a big thing that's there. There's also other things like BSIMM, OpenSAM, NIST, ISO, and a lot of other different ways of doing it. So as an organization, based on your risk profile, looking at what best practice you're going to use for secure development of software is important. Now, the final kind of big and kind of overarching piece is to make sure you're meeting the PCI DSS requirements when you're developing your software. So not only using the best practices for whatever industry standard you decide to use, but also making sure that you're looking at the PCI DSS requirements and those are being addressed by the software that you're creating. Because this is in-house developed software, it's your responsibility to look at those. If you have any questions about that and you need some help on understanding what a good standard to use for your organization is, please reach out to our experts at kirkpatrickprice.com.